tell me the lessons learned in your career?
Well, my most important lesson is there is always an opportunity to move on. There is always an opportunity to move on. There is always, I don't know how I can say that, there is always an opportunity to move on. I think about my life and the things that I have done, and I've always thought that I've reached the end, and all of a sudden a new door opens. So I'll tell you, when I started my job, I was lucky. I was completely lucky when I was a kid to serve as the president of the Children's Cabinet. And when I was the president of the Children's Cabinet, it's a job that I was always in front of the media talking, trying to champion for the rights of children in Kenya. It came with a certain perks, the recognition, the respect, the meeting with high profile people, the attorney general, the vice president, you name it. You're always at the room where things happened. But I remember one morning I was cooking with my mom, and then I heard on the radio that they had elected another president, and nobody notified me that I was getting axed. And I was only 18. And I'm hearing my name on the radio that I'm no longer the president. You know what kind of trauma that is for a child? I was like, they're not serious. And so my mom, my elder sister, I remember this, my mom, my elder sister, my brother, they were all there listening to the same news, and they looked at me for my reaction. And I didn't know how to react. So I smiled and I said, well, that's that. And they looked at me and I looked at them and I just didn't know what else to say. And that was my first time in my career that things didn't go the way I wanted. And I was only 18. Like, literally, I had just made it to be an adult. The next few days, I stayed home figuring out what do I need to do with my life. Everything I had known for the last 2 years was children rights. It was going to the meeting to address issues of children. And I didn't know what else to do. But thank God, when I was seated there, I was like, maybe I could do a youth parliament. Maybe I could actually replicate this exact thing for the youth parliament. And I struggled the next 3-4 months talking to different people in government, people who I had never met, writing them letters, telling them this is what I want to do. And I started bringing young people to my mom's house. And my mom's house was just a 2-bedroom apartment. It's a very tiny little room. And they started getting too many of them. Young people would come many and many, and we had to move out. And we went to the district officer's place. That was the government building. And then we continued to increase. Eventually, the clerk of the National Assembly gave us a place to meet. And all of a sudden, I had replicated a national youth parliament from the organization that I had been fired. And the organization that had fired me invited me to give a keynote speak in one of their meetings. And that was, to me, the best thing that had happened to my career. And after that, I have had those issues. I've had places where in jobs, people have promised me the role. They're like, we think you'll be fantastic for this role. And then I've applied it and got a big no. And it's very discouraging. And I've been in places where I've worked so hard, believed that something will come the way I wanted it to be, and boy, oh boy, it doesn't. So my lesson from all those things is one, there's always an opportunity to move on. When something doesn't feel right, when you have a lot of fear, when anxiety starts building up, it's time to walk away, and it's okay. And that doesn't mean that everything will be okay, but it simply means that you're courageous enough to take the first step.